Good evening and welcome to the Senior Synth Senior Synth stream. No, not today. It's another name. Look here. It's the Erica Senior Synth stream. And we're still waiting for Girts. He's in the theater and he's on the way, so he will be here in a few minutes. Until then, we have Quincas from Mexico.
Hello.
Hello.
Proud to be a Erica senior.
Yeah. And we also have Ken Flux Pierce.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hey, Flux.
My studio's a mess, so no judgments, please.
Cool studio, isn't it?
And we have Andy from a train.
Hi, Andy.
You're muted.
I had to because it's kind of noisy. I'll be mute off.
Okay.
Your background is the best. It's in motion.
Yeah. I only have a vent. So, and we have one more. That's Tim Dale. Welcome.
Hi, Tim.
Hi there. So I don't have best background. I've got a fridge. It's not quite the same.
Oh, keep cool. That's good enough. Yeah. And as yeah, and as promised, Girts will be here soon. So let's start with Quincas. There are some news from Erica Synths. Isn't that true?
Well, I don't know how much news it is. I've been representing Erica for a few events in Los Angeles where it's complicated for them to make it all the way from Latvia, or sometimes they have other conflicting events there. So since I make a lot of video manuals for their gear, and I have a lot of their gear, and I'm in Mexico, which is just to skip over. Hey, Girts. There he is.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry.
Your audio is a little soft, Girts.
And now?
I wonder if there's a way you can turn up your microphone a little bit, perhaps.
Let me check.
So in the meantime, I was mentioning how I've gone to 2 events now to represent Erica Synths and show off some of your gear over there. And hi, Kat. And I'm also working on some videos for instruction about the Bullfrog XL, which is this giant behemoth you see behind me over here. Hold on. Look at the size of this thing. This is the teacher's edition. The teacher's edition Bullfrog. So I'm just starting production on videos that are to be instructional videos for the teachers who will be using this to teach. So I guess I'm the teacher's teacher right now for their gear. And yeah, but I think we should maybe let Girts handle the introduction now that he's joined us.
Thank you, Quincas, for doing this. It's a huge work and huge contribution to synth community, and so
I'm honored.
What should I say?
I don't know. Henrik, would you like to direct Girts' introduction in some way?
Yeah. What's the name of the cat?
Tuna.
Famous. He's in a lot of the merch. The Erica Synths merch has Tuna the cat.
Tuna is our marketing cat, so he used to live in our office. But when we moved to temporary office before we started construction of new one, he moved to my place, and he feels like home here. So yeah, he's my personal assistant now.
Yeah. You have some news. It's already on the market, but the reverb you have put on the market. Can you tell a little bit about that?
The night verb.
Reverb.
Yeah.
Oh, the Nitro, we are getting straight to gear, right?
Okay.
So yeah, we by some. I went to Dutch Modular Fest like 3 years ago or something. I met Martijn and Noosh from Dutch company 112 dB, and they are like pure geniuses in making VST plugins, and so they run their website with 112 dB, and then we talked and realized that why don't we turn some of their best plugins into desktop units, into hardware things, because many ask, why would you use hardware if you can do anything in computer, right? But this pleasure of using hardware, immediacy, and so it changes everything.
And longevity.
And therefore, we took this challenge and started with some FXs for Synthrex, for Perquans. Then we developed some Eurorack modules, and then we decided we need to make an ultimate performance reverb. So with multiple parameters to tweak, very hands-on unit. So and here it is.
I have the older brother here. Looking forward.
No, that's completely different thing. They are not even brothers. They maybe brothers. Let's put it that way.
Okay. But I mean, it's the same form factor, and one's a reverb, one's a delay, so I can see them working very well side to side.
Yeah, but the idea is that really we wanted to bring all parameters you wish to have for reverb on a surface. So we have gain, so you can use it with straight away with guitar without any preamps, and so we have pre-delay, we have some specific reverb specific things, which is room shape. We can spin effects into the room. We have low dump and high dump before thing goes into reverb. Then we have early late reflections, obviously size, and then feedback, obviously, stereo field panning, and then bass and treble boost or cut, and freeze function, which freezes the sampled portion of delay and reverb, and you can actually play it chromatically with keyboard. And there's a configurable foot switch, so you can do multiple kind of actions with this foot switch. You can bypass, you can freeze, you can change patches via foot switch, and so on and so on. And there are factory presets developed by some genius producers, and also users can make their own presets, export them via USB, and then share with others if you want to. So and it's very playable when playing live. Then really it's very hands-on, and you can play it as an instrument. Let's put it that way. And that's kind of missing with most of reverb pedals or reverb units, where you basically recall presets and then just tweak some minor parameters. Like, that was crash course on Nightmare.
Super exciting.
I love the fact that it's desktop too. It's like there's been a small push lately to more desktop specific effects that are not guitar pedals meant to be on the floor, but actually meant to be up with your gear and performed with your gear. And I'm liking that more companies are starting to get into that, because it's kind of something that for a while we had 19-inch rack units, and then the processing power got so good in guitar pedals and in Eurorack and everything moved to one of those two formats, but you didn't really see a whole lot on the desktop. And now it's like we're starting to see a bit more, like with the Zen delay and with this one as well. It's really nice to be able to see a form factor where it can sit next to your desktop box, your sequencers, that sort of thing, to where you can perform live and be modulating your reverbs and manipulating things in real time. And it's not this kind of clunky, usually extremely pared down amount of controls for a guitar pedal, because most synth companies or effects companies don't believe that guitarists know how to work a pedal or a parameter.
Also the space it takes, right? You want
Yeah, exactly. So but it's really nice to see that you have, like, you know, when I use reverbs, I like modulating things like pre-delay. I think it makes a big difference when you have things where you can modulate that sort of parameter that isn't typically there on something like a guitar pedal, you know? So yeah, that's really dope.
And also, you know, we talked with Quincas some time ago about, like briefly, about this AI thing, and that you know, in quite foreseeable future, AI will be able to generate melodies, but AI will not be able to perform. Therefore, our approach to designing instruments is basically make performance-oriented instruments. So you can take them on stage, and the way how you operate the instrument is performance on its own, meaning that yeah,
exactly.
it's enjoyable both by musician and audience.
Yeah, I think it's time to capitalize on our humanity, because as far as music production in the box, the algorithms are going to, best us very quickly. So yeah, focusing on live performance is a good idea, I think.
Yeah, and it's weird to admit, but yeah, unfortunately, the music production is going that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty scary. That's actually a good topic for us to tangent into at some point. What is everybody's opinion on AI music and Suno and audio and all that stuff? Tim, you have something to say?
No, I was going to say, do we want to go down that hole?
Well, maybe not. Maybe I missed
it. I used it for one really useful use case a couple weeks ago. I bought an expensive, it's actually right behind me, Dyson vacuum cleaner, and a little part broke on it, and you cannot get new parts. Like, they just constantly say that they're out of stock. They say they have this wonderful warranty, but you cannot get parts, right? So I'm online with their automated their automated customer service thing for like hours, just trying to get this simple little plastic part, right? And I got so fed up, I just went on to Sudo and I started making songs to the customer service people, and I was just sending them like all these like terrible songs about their support.
That's a good way to troll
using
them.
AI to troll AI is, I think, the best use of AI.
Yeah, I've seen YouTubers use it, like comedy YouTubers use it just to create, little songs about particular funny subjects. I can see. I think that's really creative and interesting use of it, where you're not really, you wouldn't hire a producer to write a song for that little bit in your comedy show, right? But since AI is there so fast and cheap, you do it and it enhances it that way. However, I personally make my living writing music for little video background of videos, right? I write music for the YouTube audio library and Facebook sound collection. And most of my revenue comes from people using my songs as background music for their content that they create. So I think I'm the first in line to get replaced by AI, because that's really easy to do with artificial intelligence, the kind of music that I make my living off of. So it did create a little bit of panic for me when I first joined Udio, and I didn't really believe that it was going to be that good. And I wrote down, "No, give me a bossa nova tune with a female singer and Portuguese lyrics about the sea," just something basic like that. And it gave me something that sounded like a recording from the '60s that I would have been happy to have found a vinyl of. I was just like, oh my God, this is like, I would have taken 3 days to produce this. I would have had to hire a singer.
But the problem is that once you do that more than like 5 or 6 times, you start noticing these things that are like always the same. Like you start noticing, like I can pick out these AI tracks now because I messed with it a bunch, and it's like, it's not trained on the entire world. It has like its primary things that it's pulling from. And when you start listening to what you're creating with it, you start hearing this formulaic stuff build up inside of it, both in vocal tone, in production quality, like the way that it actually does the thing. Even when you change the prompts around a lot, it's like you'll start to hear similar voices in it over and over again. It's almost like you are going to a specific set of session musicians, and like
Right,
that's what they do. And
well, it's a little bit limited, but on the one hand, it's just the beginning, right? So
absolutely,
it's as bad as it's ever going to be, because it's only going to get better, and it's going to be trained on wider data. Also, for certain things, it's certainly good enough, like for advertising, for background, for a lot of things that musicians like me have been historically hired to do that are just like kind of menial tasks that we do and get paid for. Those can easily be done by this kind of thing. So it is a little disrupting, and more than a little, perhaps. So it's actually made me start rethinking my career in terms of trying to create some kind of relevancy as an artist, because I've been comfortably just a servant of the industry for all of my career, and I've never had to become like a known artist or name or anything that people actually like, oh, let's go see Quincas play, and I make enough to survive just making background music for commercials and TV series and things like that. So now at my almost 50 years old, I'm having to think about breaking out as an artist.
Yeah, but back to Girts.
Yes, you can be.
Just continue.
Sorry. And Quincas, you can be. They say that we have to re-educate ourselves multiple times in our lifetime, because the pattern we live in is so rapid, and so. But the monster synthesizer behind you, maybe will lead you to teaching somewhere. And
yeah, for sure. I keep that avenue wide open. Definitely have a few eggs in different baskets all the time.
Yeah. Girts, I would like to know more about Erica Synths. How did it start?
Depends how long back you go.
As long as you can.
So when I was in my early teenage years, like I was 13, something. I lived in small village in Latvia. Studied in small school. Like there were entire school was 120 students back then, and so I sneaked in physics class and borrowed forever a book about DIY electronics, and that was a book from 60s. So there were DIY projects with vacuum tubes, with crystal radio receivers, and so on, so on. So I somehow found that this is something, And typically boys in that village became tractor drivers or construction workers. So I almost became construction worker, but somehow, I went to study to secondary school. where in a larger town where I heard Sex Pistols and Zig Zig Sputnik for first time. So we instantly decided to make punk rock band in our class. And because I was in DIY and somehow I navigated to electronic music instruments, I made stomp boxes, like distortion pedals, and then we did not have much money and there were no proper music instrument stores. So actually I made also bass guitar and like regular electric guitar. And our punk rock band had only one single performance because we started too late and we went to study to universities. So we split up with one performance. And then Latvia gained independence, so I dropped that hobby because all of a sudden market opened and like proper music instruments became available if you had money, you know. And therefore, yeah, I dropped that hobby. But some 15 years ago, I decided to build some electronics constructor for my son. So I was soldering small boxes with a single electronic component in each box, so my son can make. He was 8, maybe back then, and he could make electrical circuits and see how it works. And they were battery powered. So back when I was in my teenage years, I was hand winding transformers for. That outputted voltage for vacuum tubes, which is 400 volts, and so, but yeah, this electronic constructor, it was battery powered, so I am responsible parent, so my son was safe. And then I started. Then I decided, well, I need something that makes sound. I made some simple beeper. And then I thought, well, I need something that makes musical sounds. So I searched the internet, came across Music from Outer Space website, and I built literally everything what was in music on that website. So Ray Wilson, he published a book. He asked me to send some of my projects for his book. And then he said that, well, Girts, you have built entire my site. I need to invent something new. And then I built everything from Synth and then from others. So basically, some 12 years ago, I built literally every single DIY project that was online. Nowadays, you cannot do that anymore because there is so much different projects. And so, well, and while building those projects, I realized I have something to say to the community. And I started developing my own DIY projects, which I started to promote on Muff Wiggler forum, and it somehow slowly took off. And on 2013, I registered legally Erica Synths as a company, but our actual birthday is 2015 because, like in English, company means, I think, a couple of people at least. You know, it's not only legal entity, but it's also a company with several people. So on September 4th, 2015, we were 4 of us in small office, and that's kind of actual start of the Erica Synths. Before that, we went to Music Messe for first time. That was 2014. And we were only Eurorack company who had black face panels. And other manufacturers and media and retailers were visiting our booth, and they were asking, who would buy this? But nowadays, kind of black face panels are dominating Eurorack. So that's basically, long story short. It started subconsciously. It started a long time ago when I accidentally got this DIY book, and recently, this spring, I got my notebook from secondary school, and I found there a block scheme of synthesizer how I imagined. So actually, I had a synthesizer in mind more than 30 years ago. So yeah, that's how it happened. You know, it's always some portion of accident, because all evolution is kind of right. And
Oh, your audio cut out.
Yeah, we lost your audio.
dedication. Excuse me.
It's back.
Your audio
It's
cut
back.
out for a minute, but it's back now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's also some portion of dedication and sacrifice, because when I was soldering, my family suffered a lot because I was not there. And yeah, that's it. That's where we are now.
You also work together with the Moritz Klein.
Yes.
Yes.
Our
How-
latest.
Yeah. How did that happen?
That's our latest project. I actually studied, and I became physics teacher. So early 90s, I worked in school for 4 years, and I was damn good teacher. And that's not, I am not saying this, but my students and my colleagues said, and so on. And I realized that being a teacher is the most valuable work you can do, because you show a path to young people, and I literally saw consequences of my work. So, for example, I encouraged students to make a local school radio station. So we were installing speakers in all over the school. We made our own mixing desk and a kind of transmission studio where kids were running shows, and of course other teachers were upset because we were making noise and stuff. But out of that studio grew out one of most important DJ collectives in 2000s in Latvia. And that's amazing that you see that your work has very particular consequences. And also, for my students, I saw some small Girtses, how they dressed, how they behaved, how their hobbies, and so on and so on.
You were very influential.
And then, and as one of very important part of Erica Synths is actually contribution to education. So the synthesizer Quincas has in background, so that's our contribution to teach music technology in exciting, smart, and like very appealing for kids way. And same way I wanted to do with teaching electronics. And I tried to do a project together with Riga Technical University, but I failed because I did not have enough dedication. But then I accidentally came across Moritz Klein YouTube channel, and I realized that's it. That's exactly what we need. And then, the collaboration started. I reached out. We started developing first our educational DIY kits, and now we have a labor, which I'm using for testing some modules at the moment. So, and this is already like ultimate DIY development
That looks great.
toolbox.
That looks so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we
kind
are
of
also releasing the whole oscilloscope.
those old Heath kits.
Sorry.
Remember the old Heath kit?
Yeah.
Prototyping, learning. I have
Mhm.
one of those from the 60s or 70s or
Yeah,
something.
I had one of those.
It's super cool because it has
Yeah.
a couple of pots, a couple of little things that you would normally need, and that looks like the ultimate
Yeah.
version. Super
Yeah.
cool.
And this one has a built-in dual power supply, so it's Euro compatible. And here you
Uh-huh.
have different tools like gate trigger generator, envelope
Uh-huh.
generator, some VCO. It's not VCO, it's just oscillator.
Yeah.
Audio amplifier with headphone outputs. So that's kind of more audio projects oriented, but actually we are now putting together an entire workbook of different electronics projects, which are not limited to audio thing. So we are pushing it in technical universities, in colleges, and so on, and also for DIYers.
Very cool.
Yeah, Girts, can I just say on behalf of the Eurorack community, we love the black faceplates and we love the way your modules look. You make our racks look cooler.
Yeah, true. I think it
That
came silver and black, and that's it. Nobody can do any other.
Yeah. I must confess, because before, so I was working as teacher, and then I spent 20 years in advertising. I run last 10 years. I run one of largest advertising agencies in Latvia and in Baltic states, and we worked with several fast-moving consumer goods companies, including Procter and Gamble, Colgate Palmolive, like those. And what I learned from them, that they are basically do you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
So they are basically fighting for a shelf space. So when their big boss from Germany comes to Latvia, he loosens his tie and says, "Well, I want to go to do store checks." So he goes to store, literally takes a ruler and measures how much shelf space occupies his toothpaste versus competitor toothpaste. And then Colgate Palmolive says that, well, Blendamed has 10 centimeters more shelf space, so all our marketing efforts have to go into getting more shelf space. So I took basically a similar approach when designing and launching our modules, because we did not launch 1 or 2 modules, but we typically did it like 5, even 14 simultaneously. Like Pico series, we launched 14 modules simultaneously. So basically I treated rack space as a shelf space of fast-moving consumer goods. And therefore we made our modules so good looking and so good working together that people are motivated to get more of our modules in their racks.
That's very smart. I didn't know about your advertising background. That's interesting.
It helps all, because advertising is it involves creativity, it involves strategy, and as I was running the agency also, that means running a business. And so I do not have any formal business education, so I'm
On the
I
job
am
training.
teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
My
self-made
father,
thing.
my father was a big time advertising executive in New York. He worked for McCann Erickson and his
Okay.
or Coca-Cola, Microsoft and things like that. And I ended up the first 10 years of my professional life, I was working in an advertising studio, writing music for commercials as well. So I'm very close to that world as well.
Mm. Mm. Henrik disappeared.
Yeah, we've lost Henrik
Little
briefly.
boys' room, he said. Oh, we need to mud ourselves for a bit.
But in that case, then I'll just say not only the way the units look, but also the way they sound, because I'm a sound designer by trade. So when I buy a module, it's not because I want to do performance with it. It's normally because I want to find modules that make interesting sounds. So like here, for instance, I've got your plasma drive unit, which is just such a cool looking thing for a start. But yeah, it sounds amazing as well, because it just well, it doesn't really sound like anything else. But yeah, that's amazing. And it's,
I think the main thing about the Eurorack modules from Erica is like they're all, and we're having a conversation about this in the chat here as well. The spacing is all really nice for performance. Like the knobs are all like, the main performance knob is usually pretty chunky, and then even the secondary knobs are still not like, they're not these fiddly tiny knobs that are cramped into a tight space. Like I'm looking right now at one of my favorite delays is the stereo delay from Erica, and the way that the tap is integrated into it, the way that the your main delay and feedback and everything is on there, it's all really accessible in a fast way to where you're not going to like kind of fumble and screw something up, or even if you're in a performance setting, it doesn't feel like you're hunting and rooting for knobs because they're so small and pushed together. Like I absolutely love like my Rossum stuff, but like the evolution filter, for instance, is like, I love that filter, but all the knobs are so close together. It's like you turn one knob, and if you're in a performance setting, it's almost like you're hitting the next knob. None of the Erica stuff is like that. It's all very like, chunky, and you can actually get in there and be like vibing around, and not so, oh, I have to fiddle like this and get it just right. And one of the conversations we were having in the chat is about like, Eurorack versus 19-inch versus desktop versus pedal, all these different form factors. And I love the fact that even when the Erica stuff is put into Eurorack, it's still well spaced. And then when it's on desktop, it's like luxurious. It's like you can actually like move around and feel really, really comfortable on it.
Thank you. But that's actually the thing, that we never do 3D renders and rely on those. We actually make physical prototypes of modules. So if you have, for instance, stereo delay. So only when you build a prototype and you tweak the knob, then you can see that your fingers actually go in between knobs without touching the other one. And that's so important to invest in making actually hardware prototypes. And also, if I found out that when they design planes, they make actual plane out of plywood, like to tiniest detail. All controls are, and all like scale 1-to-1, they make plane out of plywood to actually see how it comes together, and then they complete it like fine tune and so. So we actually follow the same idea that even though it costs a lot to make a physical prototype of, for instance, large desktop synth, we still do that because only if you touch the thing, you can feel how it actually works. And sometimes, like our designer, our engineer, Yanis, he's sometimes so angry on us because we had one instrument in development which is not released yet. We played it less than 10 minutes to realize that it doesn't work. So we have to redesign it like radically. But if you have only 3D render or something, it does not reveal the truth.
Yeah, this is something that I went over with. I had also learned from Glenn Darcy, and I was talking with Corey from ModBat Modular, and we were talking about some product layout stuff, and Glenn was like, yeah, you know, it's really good if you print it out to the correct size, or and you can cut your knob sizes out and that sort of thing, or do it in cardboard, do like cardboard mock-ups of your gear, and it makes it so much easier to see that spacing, because that's kind of exactly what we were dealing with. Is we were talking about, like, you know, knob placement is, you know, it can be the difference between really enjoying playing something and like just feeling like it's not an instrument. You know what I mean? Feeling like it's more a sound sculpture device versus an instrument. It's two different things. You know,
I think
it's
that's
like,
a big lesson we can take from Don Buchla. I think great example of the function being more important, the ergonomic, the interface with the user, with the musician, comes first, right? So he would, I'm pretty sure he would first develop the actual user interface and then come up with the electronics that would go behind it to do what it needed to do. But it was coming from the need of the musician first, or at least he prioritized that, which I think is a influence on the rest of us.
That was luxury of 60s and 70s, when you can have panel like this and have only 4 outputs for noise generator.
Right.
So nowadays, when we need to somehow optimize everything for travel cases, and so I cannot afford to have panel for this with 4 outputs for noise generator.
You came up with the Pico series, which is the opposite.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a lot of Pico modules, and I have to admit, at first I thought of lining them up all together to keep this unity, but then I realized that it's much better to space them out in the system, because then you don't have that problem with the knobs being so small. So you have like a couple of larger modules, and then you have one Pico mixer that just serves that purpose of mixing your 3 little modules together, and then another couple larger modules, and then you have one that's just the Pico DSP, just so you can have a nice reverb on the end of one of the voices and so on. I like to sprinkle the Pico modules around a more hybrid system.
But still, 3 HP is the smallest size where you can still put together a system which looks nice and still play it. Yes, 2 HPs are way too small already, so then it becomes, you need to clutter the interface, otherwise you cannot turn potentiometers.
Right. Another thing that people don't normally mention that I think is really cool about the Erica modules is that while they have a unity in aesthetics, they're also different enough that you don't get confused. Like sometimes I look at, like, I love Joranalog. They sound amazing and the functionality is unique and everything, but sometimes I have a Joranalog box that I get a little lost because the knobs are all placed in the same exact grid, and all the jacks too. So sometimes you can't even tell where one module ends and the other one begins. Same with Doepfer sometimes. There's a couple of makers that use this. It's so strict. It's almost like a surge mentality, right? Where the paper face was a pre-drilled panel where you had to use those holes for jacks and stuff. Yeah, there you go, Girts. And so I think that worked really well for the surge, but I really like how the Erica modules, even if they keep a certain aesthetic unity, you can immediately tell, oh, this is my filter, this is my oscillator, by how the layout, the controls are laid out, and you don't get lost in the system. It's very easy to find yourself during a live performance. You want to turn that filter knob. There it is. It's really big. It's right there. You don't get lost. It's nice.
it's all very legible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the fonts and everything that are on there, you can see it so clearly.
Yeah, it's easy.
Another thing I wanted to mention is the user interface, where also we put a lot of attention to have it obvious, even with quite feature-packed modules. The thing is when you have tens of thousands of modules around, okay, 5,000 at least, like active modules. And when you build a rack and do not play with it for a month, for instance, then modules that require menu diving or that have some many shift function, you just forget it. And then you have to relearn how to operate them if the user interface is done wrong.
That happens to me even with modules that I've made the official video demo for, where I had to like devour the manual and really learn it so I could show it and teach it. Like after a few months, if I don't use it, I go back to it. I'm like, what? I forgot everything. I don't know. I have to relearn it from scratch. So it's nice to have something clear and logical, so that you can immediately look at a module and know what it's going to do. There's a balance there between expanded functionality and the usability aspect of it, which I think needs to be carefully thought out.
Again, I took my lessons from when I worked in advertising. Napoleon had the best opinion on what strategy is, because he said the essence of strategy is sacrifice. So when we design module, we try to get rid of functions we kind of wish to have, but those functions most probably would clutter the interface or make the module too difficult. In that sense, our friends Game Changer Audio, they want to pack everything in a module. And they come to us to talk, ask advice, will it work? And so, and we say, well, reduce it, like get rid of functions that are not like critically needed, like make modules simpler or make instruments simpler, but they are young and they do not listen. and every time they come up with something, it's the interface is terrible. Like their Plasma Voice, it's amazing module, sounds great, but they even printed the user manual on the bottom side, bottom of the face panel, but that doesn't help.
Now I'm thinking, perhaps you should change your company name to Erica Synths.
Old people synths with restraint.
Yeah.
No, it is really good to exercise restraint in design, and that is something that it's like, it's difficult when you come up in music production and you're like, man, why doesn't somebody design something that does this, and this in one unit, because I always do this. And then it's like, then you finally get there and you design it and you're like, oh, this is like a nightmare. And you're like, okay, maybe now I understand it. And it's like, okay, just refine what it is that you actually want something to be and do that the best that it can be. But don't, people get really wrapped up in trying to make everything be everything. And then it's just, it's either menu dive hell, or it's just, some convoluted thing that, like Quincas was saying, it trying to remember a lot of like sub functionalities of modules is not fun, and it's not an intuitive way of working. If you only have a few pieces of gear that do that, then you can absolutely do that, because that's all you're using. But
you become
us old people who've been making music for 20 plus years or more are like, our studios have a bunch of different gear, and trying to remember that stuff, it's like, man, it gets a little bit of a headache, and it's not. I don't think it makes
anxiety
too.
Like limitation breeds creativity, because when you have too many options, you sometimes it freezes you. You're like, you don't know what you're going to do, and you end up not doing anything. But when you have only a certain number of avenues that you can go towards, then it's easier to decide which way to go and what to do. right? And I think the Per Cons by Erica is a good example of that, because you're limited to 16 steps. You can't do 48 step sequences. You're limited to a mono output. You have only one effect. But it's also big, very ergonomic. You have dedicated controls for each thing. So it's super intuitive, super quick, fast to learn, fast to perform with, and get immediately great results. And I think it's a great example of the Erica mentality in that sense. Sorry I interrupted you, Ken. I think you can continue. Sorry.
Wagyu was mentioning in the chat about having a Eurorack module that's just like a cardboard cheat sheet or something. I keep this. This is for my effects aid, and I laminated and printed out all the effects that I have included in my effects aid onto this sheet here, so I can pull it out and know, because there's no way I'm gonna memorize all these.
I need that. I can never remember the buttons on my FX8.
Yeah, so I just
Everything
I
needs cheat
printed it
sheets
out
for
and
sure.
laminated it, and I keep it next
There it
to
is
it.
there.
So I
Yes.
can just... And like ModBap has they're like little baseball cards that come with the modules that you could, which that's, I mean, he doesn't really have a lot of hidden functionality, but even just for the functionality that is there, it's like, we need to, inspiration can come and go so fast. It's like you need to be quick and be able to actually be actionable upon your inspiration, as opposed to like, oh, I get inspired, then I have to figure out how to do it. And then by the time you get there, that inspiration has now been altered and changed, and you're doing something totally different,
Yeah, I have all of these laminated too. Check it
So-
out. Like Magic the Gathering cards here.
Yeah. So, Quincas, have you got a catalog so you can remember where all your cheat sheets are?
What's that?
Have you got a catalog so you can remember where all your cheat sheets
Yeah,
are?
I have a cheat sheet just to tell me where my cheat sheets are. But you know what? I made these with the greatest intention of having things be, available. But honestly, I just pulled these out of an envelope that was in the bottom of a pile. I don't even use these anymore. I've just gone, honestly, after 12 years of being into modular, I've been gravitating more and more towards just the simpler stuff with not per function, because I can't be bothered anymore to like relearn something when I'm because it cuts my flow as a creative musician. I'm trying to come up with a cool sound for this melody I have in my head, and then if I have to start like finding a cheat sheet and reading a manual and going menu diving, I'll lose that melody. I'll lose the entire flow. So I've just been consciously deciding to make smaller systems. I have a giant modular over here that I consider like a library, where I can take out modules that I need for specific ideas and assemble smaller systems. And that's what I actually use. I use small skips in Eurorack instead of my huge rack that I have over there. It's not even really functional as a synth. It's basically like a deposit of modules that I go. Oh, I have an idea for performance where I'll need some kind of thing, some kind of effect, some kind of end of chain, and then I'll assemble that into a smaller box, and I'll learn that box and use it that way. Because otherwise, it's just too much for my brain, and it gets cerebral instead of intuitive and artistic, and then it just cuts my flow, cuts my inspiration.
Talking about inspiration, Nightverb, it has preset name generator, built-in preset name generator. So you do not need to invent your preset names. When it sounds good, it generates preset name, and they really make sense. So I don't know how my colleagues coded that, but those generated preset names, they really make sense. They are reverb names.
Name your songs, right? You can even use the preset names as song titles when you're stuck. You got untitled number 12 song untitled number 12 going. You're like, oh, I got to put a name on this. Well, yeah, you go. Just generate a name on the Nightverb.
I wonder, do those preset names, do they tie into like parameter settings? So like if you have something like a really long tail, does it maybe start selecting from names that deal with that, and if it's something much shorter or something?
I have not tried to make this link, but because we just released it, so we haven't played it enough. But yeah, I need to check.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, that'd be an interesting way of doing it, because a lot of gear does these kind of preset name generator things, and then I was like, that actually would be cool if like they actually do make sense with what you're doing, like depending on where parameters are set, like it could maybe pull from a list of names that indicate towards those parameters,
Yeah.
But it's kind of like you were talking about working in marketing. It's kind of like one of those things when like, a non-designer might be talking to a marketing person, and they're like, well, we want it to invoke the color blue, and you're like, wait, what? Like, and then you have to kind of create something around that to you're pulling from terms that are not necessarily engineering terms or specific specifications, but they're feelings,
Yeah.
I just killed the conversation.
No, maybe I did by putting this question on screen. It's I Sing the Body Electric who asks if the steam pipe is still going to be a product.
Yes, we are now in. We got 9 prototypes from a factory which we will send out to reviewers and preset designers. So it's happening, and it's happening soon. So
I'm super excited about that.
Final.
It's my favorite sounding.
Excuse me?
Sorry, I interrupted you again. Yeah, I'm saying I'm super excited about that one in particular because I tried it out at a couple of trade shows, and it's the most amazing sounding synth I've touched in years. I'm super excited about that one in particular.
And I have to add a question too. What do you do about the prototypes when you have finished a product? Are you selling the prototypes as special editions, or?
No, because most of them are tangled wires sticking out from other places. Once we had terrible accident actually, which I am happy that the thing was when we were developing Bullfrog synthesizer. So it said Erica Synths X Richie Hoftin. One of prototypes. We have a company that collects electronic waste for disposal, and so we dispose some prototypes, and all of a sudden on eBay we see Bullfrog X Erica Synths X Richie Hoftin, which is an announced product that somebody is selling it on eBay, non-working, just for parts. But imagine what a PR disaster would be.
Oh my God!
So we figured out.
Yeah.
We figured out who was it. So the one guy from this electronic waste processing company, he just picked it from a box and put on eBay. Now we really pay close attention where those prototypes end up, and also from support perspective. See, if something is not working, we can check the serial number, we can identify the instrument. But when it's prototype, it definitely will bring some problems, for us.
Paula Toller is asking, any more Erica modules for VCV?
Not really. we kind of did it out of interest how it will work, but we realized we are a hardware company, and we do not have emotional attachment to software. I'm sorry for for others, but we made Zen delay VST. We were selling it for a couple of months, but then we realized that well, it was selling quite good. We broke even, and so and there was virtually no support needed because everything was working smoothly. But we realized that no, we are hardware company. We want to make instruments that are meant for performance, and that's where we are the best, or we are very good. No, I do not want to say we are the best. We are very good at it, and we do not have know-how how to make VST modules. So that was project. That was collaboration project. So we outsourced that. And we have so many projects going on. We need to promote Bullfrog. We need to promote DIY series. We need to promote our new instruments and update previous ones and maintain those. So no, we are not going into more VCV rack modules.
Actually, I have a quick question for Girts while I still have signal here. I was curious, does he prefer working on older classics like a Polyvox filter, or the weird stuff like a Pico System 3, or the newer drum machine type stuff, or other crazy stuff? What's kind of your favorite type of device?
Polyvox filter in a way started the company because I built a Polyvox filter from one French company, which was based on which was based on some Western op-amps, and that did not sound good at all for me. And I asked myself, is it really a sound you can get from this overhyped filter? So I went to the market. We had open market of electronic components here in Riga. I went to the market, got original op-amps, and built my version of Polyvox filter, and it was there. And then that was my first DIY kit actually, and that it started the company.
That was my first contact with Erica as well. I was teaching DIY to some students here in Mexico, and one kid showed up with the entire original Erica DIY kits with the original op amps included and everything, and it was a crazy experience to help him build that. The version 2, then you sent me all of the kits, and that was the beginning of our relationship, where I reached out to you on Facebook Messenger and said, "Hey, I'm starting a channel here about building modules. Would you like me to make videos of your kits so people can, have a little help learning how to build them?" And that was already the version 2, which was way, way, way better documented and just much more DIY friendly than the first one. And that was that kickstarted the whole thing.
Nice, but yeah, we the Eurorack market is crazy saturated now, and you need to do something like really significant if you want to do business out of it. If you are one-man company, then you can experiment a lot, and you can do some crazy stuff and sell maybe 2 modules, 2 expensive exclusive modules, but this is not our position in market. We want to make cool instruments relatively affordable, so you do not pay too much for some fancy filter, and so we somehow feel what's needed, and where can we make a difference, let's put it that way. So but of course there are a lot of projects which we do for fun, because we just want to make it. At the moment I'm in a process of making one huge DIY project which is behind my back, but that's in process. I do not want to reveal it yet, and that's solely because I want to make it. I haven't done any calculations, and I even have no idea if and how we will sell it. But I want it for our studio, so I will make it, and then let's see.
Hey, Girts, can you tell us a little bit about the space that you're in? I bring it up because I know my friend Daniel, my coworker Daniel Troberg, was over there not that long ago either, and he was showing me some pictures of the space that you guys are in, and it seems really cool. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have going on over there, and what kind of spaces that you work in?
We built our headquarters from scratch. So as when somebody visits us, I say that to develop the space. Yes.
Can you repeat that? You just dropped out.
When somebody visits us in our new headquarters, I always say that I use child labor to to build a space, because one of my ex-students, she's a very, very good architect. She also designed my house where I am at the moment. Another student, she is one of the leading interior designers in Latvia. They are 40 now, but for me, they are still my students and my kids. You know? So yeah. We wanted to build an office that reflects our philosophy and workflow. So one thing what we do is we produce hardware, but other thing, we want to promote electronic music as a part of culture, and to empower electronic musicians. So we have a residency studio, and next to it we have a concert hall for electronic music performances. So when people come to residency to our studio, which is free, and then after a week or two of residency, we film their performance in our concert hall, and then publish it to promote musicians, to promote spectrum of electronic music. So it's not only techno, it's not only dance music, it's also experimental music, it's electroacoustic music, and so yeah. So our new office really is essence on how we approach product design, how I approach running company, and how we approach electronic music as a part of culture. Yeah, that's the thing. Everybody is more than welcome to visit us and check it out, and to sign our wall of fame.
Quick question about that.
Daniel signed our wall of fame, by the way.
You should erase that. You shouldn't let him sully that. No, I'm kidding. You've got reflector monitors in that space, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I bring that up because most people probably don't know what that is. But my friend that was in the chat earlier, Just Blaze, he actually had a pair of those monitors, and I remember the first time I saw them, I thought to myself, those can't possibly work as good as they claim, because the design is so alien. You know, I don't know if people can make out what that looks like.
It looks like a big ear.
It's essentially two big ass woofers that are facing the wrong way, and then a horn that's facing towards you, and then a huge sub underneath. Like, they're crazy.
That looks so cool.
Crazy.
These are small versions in my home studio, but yeah, in our concert hall we have 12 kilowatt speakers, which are custom made for us. They are calibrated for the studio, and the frequency response is from 15 hertz to 30 kilohertz with flat line response. So they are specific. The information you get from subs is amazing, and level of detailing of the sound also is really there, because
yeah, from what I've been informed is that they can stay flat response regardless of the volume level that you're outputting with, which is something that on a lot of studio monitors, when you turn down your volume, you actually don't get the same response. But with these, they're flat all the way across.
But these are not monitors. We do not treat them as monitors because they are used in this concert hall. So they are 12 kilowatts. So it's
yeah, they will pound.
Comprehension for studio monitors, but they are really good. Yeah.
Yeah, you're you're the only other person I know that has those in their space. So like when Daniel went there, he showed them to me because I had been talking to him about at Justin's studio. I was like, man, he's got these monitors. They're crazy, blah, blah, blah. And then like a couple months later, Daniel went over there and he was like, oh yeah, by the way, they've got reflectors there. And I was like, show them to me.
Yeah. But by the way, latest Sound on Sound magazine has a review of their reasonable ones. So they have smaller ones which are specifically for use as studio monitors, and they are comparably reasonably priced because these are like 5-digit number is price. Those are 5K. So yeah, if you subscribe for Sound and Sound, or maybe they also publish the review on their internet on website, so you can check that out.
Yeah, that's something I need to look at for sure. But yeah, it's just interesting to me that you guys have a space where you can really let loose with your instruments, because it's one thing about being in a home studio with it. It's another thing being in a professional studio with the gear and production space. It's another thing being in like a club, but it's another thing to have like a really, top level system and hear your instruments do it, because it can reveal so much. Like you said, like if you're producing down to 15 hertz, there are things you're going to hear, and the way that the mixes are going to be exposed is quite different,
Absolutely. And also, every instrument deserves to be tested in proper environment, on how it will sound on stage, or how it will sound in club. And you cannot do that on headphones or on monitor speakers. So you need to go out and see it how it actually works.
So 12 kilowatts for monitor speaker sounds like an interesting idea. You can then ask everyone in your street what they think of your mix.
You can broadcast to the next town over. That's your product announcement. Do you have any idea how many different models or like SKUs, products, modules that you've produced over the life of Erica at this point? Because there's a lot of modules and a lot of different gear.
At the moment, we roughly have some 200 something SKUs on our web shop, but that's including accessories, some merchandise, and so. But it's close to 200. Yes.
Yeah, I might need to get a vest. I was looking at that.
Drop me an email. Apparel. I'll send you
some motorcycle apparel. I've noticed that too. I know that's one of your loves as well, is motorcycling, right?
Yeah, it's I have a mandatory that if somebody joins a company, he or she needs to pass motorcycle driver's license. So 2 years ago, we covered Route 66 from Chicago to LA on motorcycles. Almost all of us. We were 6 in states driving that. Quite an experience and team building.
Where did you get the bikes for that? Did you have them brought over, or did you rent
we
them?
rented.
Yeah.
We rented them in Chicago. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And we rented completely different bikes. So we had adventure bikes. We had these huge Harleys, Indian Challenger, and stuff like that.
Oh, cool. Did you go from like NobCon to LA or what? Because I heard you mention Chicago. So
that happened during NobCon time, but we did not go to NobCon. We just synchronized us being in Chicago with NobCon.
Well, hopefully you at least stop by like Synth City or something. They got some cool shops out there. Yeah, that's awesome.
But motorcycles are they help you to manage your sanity. Yeah. And you navigate city twice as fast.
I think it's important that if you're in the space where a lot of the sort of music that we make and the gear that we use, it's all very technological. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of internet going on. There's a lot of social media. There's a lot of, you're just in a studio. Usually most of us, unfortunately, don't have a lot of windows in our studios, and you're kind of secluded making music all the time. And it's nice to have whatever your hobby is. It's nice to have something that will break you out of that and take you into something disconnected from all of that and get you kind of reacclimated to the fact that there is a world outside. And for me, like I have some friends that are like really good fishermen, and I have them take me out there because I don't know the first thing about fishing, but I make them take me out there, and it helps me disconnect so that when I get back into the studio, I reappreciate where I am and I'm like re-inspired again. But yeah, just being outside, away from a phone, away from a computer, and just kind of like free again is, I think that there's a big, it's very useful.
Yeah, and it promotes creativity because there are different ways how you can. There are books about promoting or enhancing your creativity, and simple trick is just if you walk to your workplace same path all the time, you lose a lot of information that may stimulate somehow your creativity. Just take a different path, and something nice will happen. Some inspiration will strike, and so. Yeah, same works with motorcycles, and yeah.
Yeah, and if I do that, if I go visit nature, I always make sure I've got the recorder with me just in case I get inspirational sound.
Exactly. Yeah.
I end up just using the phone for that because I never remember to carry a field recorder with me. And I have a bunch of like ambisonic field recorders and stuff. It seems like you never have it with you when you need it, or at least I don't.
Yeah, but phones have become admirably good.
Yes, I actually normally invest on a good quality phone because of that. So this is an iPhone Pro 15, has really fancy cameras and microphone. So I actually do live streams where I record myself playing bass, like just with the mic that's built into the phone, and it sounds great. Sounds good enough, actually. So keeping things simple.
Back to your collaboration with Maurice Klein. How did you start that? Did he contact you, or did you contact him?
So, Henrik, could you repeat the question because it lost sound?
Okay, how did the cooperation with Moritz Klein start?
As I told, I somehow came across his YouTube channel, and I just wrote him a message that what if we do something together? And actually, we have multiple collaborations because I believe that people did better in evolution because we can collaborate, not only within family or within our like closest friends, but that we can basically reach out to any people around, or we can collaborate in larger groups as well. And yeah, it is beneficial for both sides, because it's one is motivation that we spread our know-how, we make Moritz's projects tangible because we actually produce those DIY kits. Before that, there was only a YouTube channel, so people could experiment. But now, and I really appreciate things that are touchable, that are real instruments. If we go to music instrument world, So yeah, that's I just dropped an email.
Yeah.
And now Moritz is coming. We are now talking to Riga Technical University, and most probably Moritz is coming to Riga to do a workshop for Riga Technical University teachers based on our Labor kit.
Yeah, I followed him too on YouTube before you started doing something together, and I understand it fits your view of teaching, that you like to give your skills to others. He's the same type of guy, so
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And we need those people who will be able to design things. Because I am on the board of directors of Latvian Electronics and Electrotechnics Manufacturers Association, and we track developments in our industry, not only in Latvia but also like globally. And there is a European employment, some commission or something. So their estimates say that by 2030, European Union alone will need 4 million new engineers or researchers. So that's crazy number, And as Martijn from Netherlands, from 112 Decibel, our collaboration partner with Nightverb, he says he's very skeptical about education system in Netherlands. He says, well, everybody wants to become industrial designer, but nobody knows how to count. and then so yeah, we actually need to educate or get people into electronics design. So when we pass away, then there will be hopefully someone who develops instruments.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've done some very interesting collaborations. You've mentioned Game Changer and 112 Decibel, and of course, just say it's given us some really cool products we wouldn't have got otherwise. I mean, it's just the sort of the meeting of minds has produced some interesting results.
I mean, there are different approaches on how you do business. For instance, you can keep everything to yourself and try to somehow fight competition, But what we do, actually, I invited a lot of manufacturers to move their manufacturing to Latvia. For instance, Shachmat Modular is making their instruments in Latvia. Coma Electronic is producing everything in Latvia. Elta Music is making their Solar 42 in Latvia. So it's kind of, we have very good infrastructure here in for electronics manufacturing, and I could be protective, so I could only capitalize on or use this privilege for our company. But I somehow have broader view that Latvia in general benefits from others making their instruments here, and electronic music community benefits that instruments are made in Europe, and logistical chains are much shorter, and all this stuff, and companies can focus on development rather than on routine manufacturing, because factories here do all routine manufacturing.
Yeah, if you're talking to other companies, by the way, because I think I never realized till I saw the Syntrix, the new Syntrix, it's how great it is to have a VU meter on a synth. And if you're talking to other companies, get them to do it too. I think we need more of that. Very cool thing.
Nightverb also, by the way, has LED VU meter.
Hey, I do have a question about the Nightverb. So the Nightverb, my understanding of it is it's one algorithm, right? But highly modulatable, right? And highly diverse as far as how you can adjust it. Is that correct? Or is it like selectable versions, or how does that work?
The algorithm basically is one, but with two options. So one is so reverb consists of multiple delay lines, right? So one is like clear reverb, which consists of kind of tape delays, but other is dirty, which consists of BBD delay lines, and yeah. Martijn, who did the code, 112 decibel, right? So he specifically said he does not want to emulate any reverbs out there. So
it's spring or anything like that, right? Like Hall, plate, spring, those are not options.
Yeah. So it's unique, made from scratch algorithm. Yeah, but it's one algorithm with multiple controls.
Is there any particular sources that you find that you think it excels connected to? Be it drums, be it synth lines, whatever. Is there anything specific that you're like, yeah, I really like it on this?
Who did it's the interesting thing, which is kind of unintentional, what happened, that this gain knob works particularly good. So you can overdrive the signal and it still sounds really good. So yeah, even.
Is that overdrive like a digital soft clipping sort of thing, or is
no, it's a
preamp
analog stage, right?
Oh, okay.
The gain stage is analog. Yeah.
But that's gonna be fun.
But the algorithm processes this signal somehow very good, and it really sounds good with different gain settings. So guitar is particularly nice. Drum machines, not all presets, but with drum machine again, when especially in live performance situation, when you tweak this size knob, then it really contributes a lot to drum sounds.
Girts, can the pedal input be used to send CV control to any parameters of the Nightverb?
Every parameter has MIDI CC implementation, so they receive message and they also send out message. So if you do a studio recording, so you can actually record automations and they will appear in your DAW. So you do not need to draw manually those automation lines, but you just tweak a knob and it records in DAW in relevant MIDI channel.
That's very cool. So if you want to use CV, you just have to use some kind of CV to MIDI conversion.
Yeah, basically, yes. Yes.
Very cool. Guys,
and more.
I have to say goodbye a little early. Sorry about that, but I have to take my girls to an event. So it was really nice to hang out with you guys today, and I'll probably watch the rest of your talk on YouTube later. But
it's great seeing you again, Quincas.
Great to meet you.
See you next time.
All right.
Quincas. So now we can talk about Quincas. No.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. So, do you make cooperations with people demoing your products besides Quincas on YouTube? Like, for example, Richard De Hove. I don't know if you know him. He plays a lot with the LXR and DB.
Yeah, of course. He has got Nightverb as a bonus to his insane dedication of making all LXR and bassline demos. He's such a. I think none of us has done such a deep dives as Richard has done. He's amazing on that.
Yeah, I did invite him to come, but he's just rebuilding his house, so he hasn't got the connection at the moment. But he has been on this stream before, so maybe another time we can put you two together again.
I think it's interesting. Like, so I decided to hop on some websites and just kind of pull up Erica products, and it's like the diversity of the product lines are wild, because it's like you go everywhere from like the LXR desktop to Eurorack stuff to effect stuff to the Mega Rack case, which, by the way, Corey just got one of your Mega Rack cases in, and was it Corey that got it, or was it Steele? Might have been D Steele that got it. I think it was D Steele that got it. Yeah, he got it. So anyway, yeah, just watching him fill up this rack, I'm like, man, it's crazy, because it's to ship such different products, huge different box sizes, all that stuff. There's a lot of logistics that go involved into, a company that's doing so many different SKUs that are so vastly different, and then product support that goes along with it and all that. Yeah, I kind of wonder how you manage all of that, because it seems like you got a lot on your plate here.
When you start a company, you typically do everything yourself, because you do not know how it will develop, and so. But as Erica Synths developed, we decided that we do only fun part, development, research, demos, and stuff. But all the routine work is outsourced. So all manufacturing is done in 3 different factories here in Latvia. We have a logistics company, and we have a system, web-based system, which integrates web shop, manufacturing, and sales. and it's integrated also with our with logistics company system. So as order comes in, logistics company instantly receives the string of data which says what instruments are ordered. They have special algorithm that calculates which shipping box out of 5 different sizes we have they need to use to ship that order, and they scan barcodes and put everything together and ship it out. Sometimes it takes less than an hour when order comes in and it's shipped out. So if somebody calls, oh, please add that item to my order in 2 hours or so, it's too late. And that's what our customers and retailers especially appreciate. We also have invested a lot to have all products in stock, and mostly we have all products except maybe some new ones which we do not have in stock straight away, because to get manufacturing on track sometimes takes some time. Yeah, but long story short, everything is automated, and we really trust our factories. We train them, we supplied them with calibration workstations. So there are a lot of companies who want to have this final touch with their modules. For instance, they order PCBs, assembled PCBs somewhere, but they solder potentiometers and jack sockets themselves and calibrate modules themselves. That you can do if you have few modules, and if you sell like 10, maybe 50 per month. But why would you use your skill, your know-how, your talent of soldering potentiometers? If the factory can do that for you, and they can calibrate everything, they can pack everything, ship to the logistics warehouse, and you just see from a top how things happen and just develop new things. So we do not do routine work.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, I don't know of anybody else who's making a carbon fiber Eurorack case right now. Like, that's awesome. And actually, like, it might sound ridiculous to some, but like for those who are traveling and doing shows and whatnot, like that weight difference is pretty key.
It is really there, And of course, like Elon Musk once said that they shot themselves in leg with Cybertruck. So carbon fiber case was our Cybertruck because initial manufacturing cost estimate was 3 times lower than it actually turned out. So basically, we sell those carbon fiber cases with little or no profit at all, because we have not absorbed all investments in molds and in all this stuff. And they also are made in Latvia as a company who makes those. They make top of the line yachts, like maritime products, bobsleigh sledges, and different components for racing and stuff like that. So but that was a thing we wanted to have. It doesn't matter how it costs. And of course, when you start the process, at certain point it's too late to stop it, because like if you invest 5K in mold to make a case, that's a point where you do not step back anymore.
You're what we call pot committed. That's
yes.
For poker speak. That's pot committed right there. You're all in. Yeah, that's, I don't know. It's pretty wild. I see some of that stuff, and it all, you know, a lot of the times when people get too deep into something like that, they might start cutting corners and all, but yeah, no, it all looks so well done, and it's, you know, it's done with like a kind of premium design where it's not just like, okay, we're going to give you some carbon fiber look. It's actually carbon fiber, and it's actually like you're actually getting the benefit of that.
Yeah, and that also, you know, it's sustainability thing with our instruments, because like lately more and more companies, and there are even regulations that products need to be repairable, and that means that you are sustainable by not creating waste or unnecessary waste. And yeah, therefore all our instruments, they are repairable, they are well built, so they will not break in first place. Of course, shit happens everywhere, like any time, and so, but yeah, that's also where we do not save on like to make products well built, and so they serve long. And I really believe that Perquin's drum machine will outlive all of us. Yeah.
That's the hope, at least, is that, you know, your legacy lives on through well-built product, you know?
Yeah. And that's weird about advertising, because in advertising you can get Cannes Lions award for your TV production or so, but in half a year everybody will forget this campaign, because there is so much information coming, and so these virtual things, and unfortunately are getting forgotten so fast, and so. But if you can touch the thing, you know, then it has different value, you know. And I'm particularly honored that people take those things on stage, and it's kind of mutual benefit, because this is a workhorse for main working tool for musicians, and we somehow also manage to make money from that, you know.
Well, to that same point, let me just ask you, what is some of the music that inspires you, that you like to listen to, be it old or new or whatever? Like, what is the stuff that gets you kind of inspired and going?
I permanently listen Ryohei Ikeda, Empty Set, sometimes couple of songs from classical rock, lot of experimental stuff, you know, which is where is something that stands out. And so I do not listen much techno, honestly. I love industrial. I really love industrial music, and I love industrial community, because you do not need to show off there. You can just be yourself. And so, yeah. But really, every music that gives me some creative stimulus is what I like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm one who kind of like bounces around through a lot of different genres of music, and it's like the more diverse stuff that I listen to, the more inspired I get when I go back to creating the stuff that my roots are founded around, you know. I primarily do a lot of like hip hop based stuff, and which is by definition, I mean, it's a collage of other music, you know. So it's like utilizing lots of different genres, you can kind of also gain different workflow insights. And I think that that's really important. So it's, you know, I would say not that many years ago, I had never experienced live techno music in, you know, in a direct capacity where it's like you see in Germany or something. You know, it's very different overseas to what you see in the States. And experiencing that firsthand, I had a long period where, you know, I enjoyed some techno music, but I wouldn't say I was like, you know, devoted fan or anything like that. But there was certain techno music I liked. And then it wasn't until I traveled overseas and got to go to like Tresor and stuff like that and be actually in the club, seeing it, you know, in person and with massive systems that are ungodly compared to what's in the US. It was like, oh, now I get it. Like now I understand what's happening here. And it kind of gave me a whole other, it gave me a whole different production palette to kind of draw from, so that I started implementing into my own music, because, you know, it was such an alien way of working and just a different, completely different vibe.
And there is lots of music which you can really appreciate only in live settings. Also, I a lot listen to some fusion jazz, like Niels Petter Smolvers or Niels Frams, for instance, where different kinds of instruments are involved. So both acoustic and electronic. So
yeah, I love stuff like Weather Report and, you know, hearing that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, well, like, how can I integrate some of those lines into my stuff? And then you start getting more and more synthesizers and guitars and, you know, it just creates more clutter in my studio.
My daughter is, she graduated, she got master's degree in Academy of Music in clarinet. But her performance was actually clarinet with 6-track looper. So like when she graduated, of course, there were some classical works also she performed, but yeah, a clarinet with looper where you can engage or disengage in individual loops. So it does not stuck all overdub everything, but you can have multiple loops going on in parallel, and then you can record another one, but not erase or not ruin entire recording. So that's, and we just performed in a festival. So I was performing on modular and she was performing on clarinet with looper, and that's again, performance wise, you know, it's also very enjoyable that you see that different instruments are integrated. And
Yeah, was any of that stuff posted online for people to see?
I'll ask her to make a residency in our studio, so we have proper recording. I have some pieces on a phone, and so, but yeah.
Nice.
I actually never recorded anything I have performed. I do not consider myself a musician, but yeah, when I do performances, I try to approach them from creative perspective and do some get most out of modular, you know, because of connectivity and stuff. You know.
Have you guys considered doing anything in formats like 500 series for like studio desk processing and that sort of thing?
No, others are better for that. Yeah. You know, you need to focus. You know, my personality is crazy. You know, it's hard for me to focus for a long time on something. And when I started instrument music, Erica Synths, I realized I really found something that keeps my attention genuinely for long, also motorcycles, and yeah, you just need to do what you are good, where you are good at.
What about 19-inch racks? For example, the Night Verb for a 19-inch rack. Is that an idea?
There is a collaboration coming up with that.
Okay.
So, but we will not make 19-inch rack. That will be yes.
Okay.
Just going back to the sort of interesting collaboration thing, because for start, I was going to say first, watching Glastonbury this year, it was really interesting to see Eurorack popping up on some band stages. For the first time I've really seen that, where bands that are not just electronic bands have got Eurorack on stage with them. And then on last Saturday night, I actually went to a concert given by, if you know them, Gaz Williams and Steve Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And they performed modular in a massive church with a choir. And so modular and choir together was really interesting. That was a fascinating
Amazing.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
If they publish any video, it's worth watching.
Mm-hmm. We will have a resident, one contemporary music composer from Latvia. She's really good at and she's internationally known. She won some prizes, so she will compose a piece for 8 synthesizers, which we will perform live and that will be recorded. But that's next autumn. So because it takes time to do such an extensive project. Yeah.
Yes, so Girts, I was just going to ask. So you've built lots of different things so far. Is there an area of music technology you haven't done yet that you perhaps might like to?
We tried guitar pedals, but we had a prototype, but we dropped that one as well. So we are not going in guitar pedals. Yeah. If that answers the question.
Well, that's one you're not doing. Are there any that you think you'd like to?
Carbon fiber guitars. Sorry, carbon fiber clarinets with looper.
Yeah,
they've already done carbon. You can get carbon fiber basses. That's bass guitars.
You never know. It's maybe some interesting collaboration will pop up and so. But at the moment, we have enough ideas in a pipeline, so it's we easily can put out new instruments for next year at least.
Good
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing that that steam pipe. Last time I saw it was at Super Booth, and I think I don't know if it was running on the hardware at that point or not, or if it was running computer being controlled by the hardware or what. But it's very interesting, and yeah, I look forward to seeing how the sound design comes along on that, because physical modeling is one of those things where it's like. And for those who don't know, steam pipe is a product in the works that I don't know when the debut of it that you showed it was, but it's
it was
physical
last
modeling synthesizer, polyphonic, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It as we say, it's polyphonic synthesizer with no oscillators.
Yeah. So, and the thing about physical modeling is it can be a sound design challenge. It can be something to be, it can be very, very interesting, or it can fall apart. But it's a very interesting sound design prospect. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that all shakes out.
In a month or so. So yeah, not so long to wait.
Now, does it have well, I guess it by definition it's going to have some sort of reverb to it, but I guess you would pair that up with your.
It has a reverb at the end of the signal chain. It has a reverb because for the idea of emulating pipe organ requires reverb.
Yeah, you need to emulate space.
Yeah.
But I would assume that is going to be quite different from like night verb reverb.
Yeah, it is. It is slightly different. Yeah.
Before we continue, I would like to play a little thing. It's not about Erica Synths. It's just to remember an important person. So here it is. If she could, she would have the party to go on. We miss you, Inky.
Yes, it was very, very sad to hear about her. And yeah, she was a very positive person in the community. She was always in chats and comments, and it was always something positive and beautiful from Inky. So yeah, that was a bit heartbreaking.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, everybody have spoken about her since she passed. So there's not much more to say than keep up doing the noise. She would want noise. She wouldn't want silence. So yeah. Okay, back to Erica Synths. It's almost midnight, so we will in Latvia. So we will end soon. But first, Tim, do you have any more questions?
I think lots of questions, but the only thing is, in terms of where you're showing this here today, I've just looked up. Are you coming to Machina Bostonica in the UK in October? Yes. So that'd be cool. Be good to see you there. So yeah, that's going to be a growing show. It's going to be 2 days this year. So
yeah, I really enjoyed last year as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yes, very modular based show, that one, isn't it? So it's yeah, it's a very cool gathering.
No.
Yeah.
And I accidentally paid for next year as well, so
that's forward planning.
I'm forced to come next year.
Yeah, that was our funny thing there, because when we had last year's show, Urs Heckman came across from Uhi to the show, and he brought with him a very large Eurovac system, and the security guy at the airport in the UK insisted he open it up, and so all he opened up was just saw this massive machine full of wires and everything, and said, "What is this?" So yeah, he made it to the show with it. It was good. So, just minor security incident on the way.
But in airports, you have to say it's DJ Mixer, and it always works, you know. And I hate to say that it's DJ Mixer, because people typically associate electronic musicians with DJs, and this is so wrong.
Yeah. So, yeah, the worst part is when you tell them you're not a DJ and you're actually a musician, they just look disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any more questions, Ken?
Oh no, I'm good. But thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you are always welcome. Actually, Ken, I was wondering, where does the Flux come from?
It's basically, it came from a while back when I was doing music, and I started out doing punk rock, and then I went to jazz and spoken word and hip hop, and so basically it was short for fluctuate, because I kind of like to fluctuate between different musical styles, and I don't like to be pigeonholed into one thing. So that's kind of really
Okay.
where it came from. A lot of people think that it's because I'm obsessed with like Back to the Future or something, which is true, I am, but no, that's not where the name came from.
I was just thinking of soldering or something like that.
Yeah,
I am
that's what I thought of me.
absolutely,
I've got solder flux there. So
yeah, I'm absolutely sucked into the idea that hopefully one day I'll be able to travel time or something, but no, that's just not it. That's just called regret.
Yeah.
Modern contemporary soldering fluxes, they do not make any smoke at all. But I remember when I was teenager, my mom did not allow me to solder in my room because that was like literally a smoke from this. So I had to build in my attic. I had to build a small studio workshop where I did all soldering.
Yeah, I've probably inhaled more of that than I care to admit.
yeah, likewise.
Same here, same here.
One last thing. And Ken, you know about that too. I know you're leaving now.
He's running away.
That's support. Do you get a lot of return products or products with false errors?
Not that much. We have two persons working in support. They are also professional musicians, so they know our instruments in and out, and it's less than 1%. And given how many we sell, it's not that much. But unfortunately, by some reason, there are some black lines happening. Like, same customer can have 3 faulty units in row, while others, do not have any, and that's weird, and that's beyond explanation.
Yeah.
As long as they don't take it personally, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
how can
yeah.
you not take it personally if it's like specifically for you? 3 LXRs, for instance, are defective.
Yeah, I've dealt with that before as well, and you're kind of like, and then also, of course, usually with that sort of customer support issue, like you may get someone who feels the need to expound upon their resume, and you're like, none of this is pertinent to your issue. Like, I don't need to know that you've been making music for 20 some odd years and all of a sudden you have a problem. Come to find out you have a broken MIDI cable. Like, you know, like, be nice to whoever you're emailing. I'll say that much, because it can directly impact how quickly things get resolved.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of on Facebook in the ASM group about people complaining and you being polite.
You try your best, and that's also where it gets important to like get outside and touch grass for a little while, because you know you get too wrapped up in like the internet and all that kind of stuff, and it's like the internet is a feeding ground for negativity. So you know you really need to kind of remember like, oh yeah, social interaction with actual people face to face and like nature can really kind of reset how you handle things and what your tolerance level is of not just stupidity but ignorance and you know of other design. But and Erica Synths products for the most part, I would look at and say like that's a professional product. Like it's not necessarily there are some entry level products with Erica Synths. I mean the Pico stuff, and you know there's some lower range stuff. Just like with ASM, I mean, I was anticipating when we released Explorer, I was like, okay, we're going to get a flood of a different style customer coming in because it's a much lower price point, that kind of thing. When you start doing that, you know, you have to adjust your expectations and your, you know, I mean, everybody should always strive to be as clear and kind and understanding because we all start from somewhere. You know what I mean? Like we all start this path somewhere. So, and honestly, I know people that are amazing producers with platinum plaques, all that stuff, and it's like they learned maybe like 3 or 4 pieces of gear, and that's their whole world. So just because somebody's been doing it for a long time doesn't necessarily mean that they have, you know, this other language and skill that might be needed for a new piece of gear, that kind of thing, you know?
Yes.
Okay, and with that, let's wrap it up. It's been a nice show. It's been good having you, Girts. And I would like to invite you again another time when you release something new and want to talk about it.
Good, thank you. Yeah. And guys, drop me an email. It's in chat. I'll send you vests.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely shoot you an email, and hopefully I'll get to see you come next Super Booth. And I don't know if you come out here for NAMM or anything.
No, I'm actually next week. I'm going to Canada for a Mutec festival, and there is a Montreal Synth and Pedal Expo. So I'll be.
I think Daniel will be there as well, so you can yell at him as well. I don't think. Yeah, I'm not going to go to Canada because I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay in my cave and work on things.
But yeah, let's see. Maybe NAMM. Yeah, we haven't been there in NAMM for a while, so maybe it's time.
Yeah, NAMM is an expensive one though. I don't know. That's a whole other discussion. But yeah, I'll definitely drop you an email.
Got to get there one year. I'll get there.
Okay, guys. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Girts, please hang on till after the stream. Then we can all make a small private chat for 5 minutes or something. So I will end the show with a video. Let's see. Here it is. This one. So thank you in the chat. Thank you everybody who have watched the show. It was a pleasure. Hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.
Ciao.